In the portion of Kedoshim, this week's Torah reading, we read of the fundamental cardinal mitzvah of V'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, to love your fellow as you love yourself. And much has been written about what this means. How can that be expected of the average human being, to love someone else like you love yourself? And without getting into the details and the nuances of this mitzvah, what's clear is that there's a great mitzvah in the Torah that we should love others with great love. We can all agree at least that it means we shouldn't embarrass someone, we should be tolerant of someone else, we should give someone else their space like we would want our own space, and so on. And that brings to mind the period of time we live in, that we're in right now in the Jewish calendar, is known as the season of the Omer counting, a time of national mourning for the Jewish people over the great loss of the 24,000 students of Rabbi Akiva. Briefly, Rabbi Akiva, the great sage who lived in the 2nd century, he started learning Torah at 40 years old, Rabbi Akiva himself. And he went to yeshiva and he began to learn and study, and he attracted 24,000 students. But they all died in a plague during this time, between Pesach and Lag BaOmer, and they all died. Why? Because the sages tell us, Le'nahagu kavod zeh b'zeh, they did not respect each other. They didn't conduct themselves with respect towards each other, which is quite amazing when you factor in that these are the students of the great sage Rabbi Akiva. They were geniuses. They were probably holy people, yet they failed in this way. Rabbi Akiva, we're told, goes on to after the students died, you would expect maybe he would give up and be depressed and so on. No, he goes and finds 5 loyal students, and with them he starts all over again. But what I want to tell you today is, which is interesting in Jewish history, that the 5 students were great students, as were the 24,000 students. Yet there's a great difference. The 5 students, we know who they are. Their names, we know their names, we know what they believed, we know who they taught, where they learned, we know all about them. We know that the Torah they taught us. It was through those 5 students that Rabbi Akiva began to transmit the tradition of Judaism to the next generation. The 24,000 students, them, we don't know, we don't even have one name. We know nothing about them. We don't have their Torah that they taught and learned and studied. We don't have any record of it. It's as if they were forgotten from history. All we know about them is that they did not respect each other enough. What they taught, what they learned from Rabbi Akiva, who they were, nothing. The 5 students, on the other hand, we know everything about them. The Torah they taught, their names, where they come from, everything about them. And there's something there that there's a message here. Torah alone is not enough. If you don't know how to combine Torah with respect for others, with Ahavat Yisrael, with love for someone else, your Torah will be forgotten. No one will ever know about it. It will go down, it will go into oblivion. If you respect others and you have Ahavat Yisrael, then the Torah you learn is a Torah from the word hora'ah, which means it's a lesson. It's a guide for life. People know about it. People want to hear from you. And your teachings will survive and endure forever and ever. But if it comes without the Ahavat Yisrael, you could be the greatest genius. You could be the student of Rabbi Akiva, and no one knows about it. We don't even know your name. Ahavat Yisrael is the foundation of the whole Torah. Upon that, you can build a structure of Torah knowledge, Torah teachings, and so on and so forth. Without Ahavat Yisrael, it's all forgotten. It's all gone. It's all in oblivion. So remember what Rabbi Akiva taught, that Ahavat Yisrael, this is the great fundamental Torah law. Everything after that, everything beyond that is its commentary. Shabbat Shalom and all the best.